All right, hello, and welcome to this week's video where we're going to be talking about manifestation again. Um, so basically today, I really want to bring a new level of awareness, bring a new level of conversation, bring a new level of consideration to the idea of manifestation and creating what we want to create in our lives and the law of attraction and the secret and all of these things, because I feel like the spiritual and the self-help and the positivity communities that exist right now are really saturated with this kind of law of attraction, manifestation, create what you want, you are the creator of your reality teachings, and they are coming in like every realm that we can look at, right? Like the idea that you're completely in control of your health, and if you do everything right, you will create the perfect body, you can create your perfect health situation in your body, thinking you can manifest the perfect relationship, you can manifest the perfect job, you can manifest the perfect whatever it is, and that following what feels good and following your feelings and staying in a high vibe, positive place all the time is really important, and that that we can protect ourselves. I think the other big thing is that we can protect ourselves from negative things. We can protect ourselves from negative circumstances, from negative experiences, from negative emotions, from negative whatever it is that we don't want to experience, so long as we're practicing the law of attraction properly, so long as we're keeping our focus positive, so long as we're taking responsibility for ourselves, so long as we're doing all of these perfect manifestation things, we will only have good things and never have bad things. And then also this idea that we are aware of what we want, and that what we want will make us happy, and if we just get what we want, we'll be happy. And this kind of fundamental idea that we know what's wrong with us, we know what's wrong with our lives, we know what we need to get rid of, right? We need to get rid of our self-sabotaging behaviors, we need to get rid of our addictions, we need to get rid of our scapegoats, we need to become our higher selves, we need to get rid of the codependency, we got to get rid of these things that are not so great about us and aren't good in our lives, and then we will be happy. And we will manifest the $1 million, and we'll manifest the perfect health, and we'll manifest the perfect relationship, and we'll manifest the perfect job, and then we'll live our life of bliss forever. And of course, there's varying degrees to how we go about this, right? Like there's all the way from the secret, like literally just sit in your apartment and think about it, and you'll get it one day because the universe is listening to you, and it's going to just, right? The things that come into your life are just there because you thought about it, and everything in this reality is just thought. So there's that, and then there's kind of the Abraham Hicks, you got to figure out how to be happy in the meantime, and it's really just about your feeling state, and if you just get into your high-flying place, get into your good-feeling place, that's the main thing, and then the universe has to reflect that back to you because it's a feedback mechanism that's more through feeling and thought together, that if you just control your feelings and if you just control your thoughts, the universe will reflect it back to you. But still, even though you're feeling good along the way, even though you're in your high-flying place, it's still about getting what you want, right? There's the Gabrielle Bernstein, the universe has your back, right? You're just holding yourself back. If you have negative beliefs and negative foundations and negative core structures, right, you need to, the Tony Robbins style, break through your negative self-talk, your negative self-image, your negative view of the world, your lack mentality. That's the big one. That if you have some sort of broken mentality and it's your lack mentality, and if you just get rid of your lack gene or whatever it is that's in you that's lacking, your lack thought, you'll, again, the universe will give you everything you want. And it's all based around this idea that the universe loves you and cares about you, but is very, very stupid, and only feeds back to you what you're thinking about and what you're feeling completely indiscriminately. So it loves you, it wants you to have what you want, but it can't tell the difference between you thinking a shitty thought by accident because of trauma and all of these things, and it's just going to hand you that, versus you thinking a positive thought that's based in how great you are, and then it's going to hand you that, right? Like it's very confusing if you really kind of boil it down to be like, okay, so what exactly are the mechanisms of this attracting that we're doing? And it always is this kind of like benevolent but stupid universe that wants you to have what you want, but you have to speak the perfect language and you have to do the perfect code to get the universe to give you what you want. And it kind of, when you like boil it down and step back a little bit, it's a bit odd and manipulative. Like we're constantly trying to manipulate ourselves and our thoughts and our emotions to try to manipulate the universe into giving us whatever it is that we think that we want, and to not give us what we don't want. And again, I know maybe sometimes I feel like I have a hammer, so everything looks like a nail. But if we, again, look at our childhood self and our childhood situation, what was the reality, right? We couldn't create what we wanted to create for ourselves. We didn't have the capacity to do that. We didn't have the capacity to problem solve. We didn't have the capacity to quit school if that didn't work for us, or move somewhere, or change our ways of eating, or do any of these things. So if we were in pain and we were experiencing things that we didn't like, our caregivers and the people, the authorities around us were the ones that had control over all of that. So we had only the option of manipulating ourselves. So crying out or trying to change our own behavior, trying to change our own way of being in some way that would get us rewarded by our caregivers. And I think that we can kind of see that this, how we viewed, how we get love and how we get provision and how we were sourced, how we were resourced in our childhoods, we're just projecting that onto the universe now. We're just saying the universe wants what's best for us. It holds the keys to everything that we want, just like our caregivers held the keys to everything that we wanted, or so we thought, and they can either keep it or give it based on our behavior. And we have to manipulate ourselves in some way to try to coax our caregivers into giving us what we want or protecting us from the things we don't want. And I think if we just kind of like really take a step back, we can see that a lot of these manifestation teachings are really just, we've superimposed mommy and daddy onto the universe. And however it was that we needed to relate to mommy and daddy to get them to give us what we wanted or to try to protect us is now how we're relating to the universe. And so it makes sense that we would think this way, and it makes sense that this would be a very attractive and popular teaching because, again, of course we want to just believe if I just do something internal, right? If I just change my thoughts and I just change my feelings, the universe is going to reward me in some way. And I know that there are some teachers out there who do teach this from a like action standpoint, that manifestation isn't just something you think about, that you think about it and you feel it, and then that generates you taking action, you taking steps, you figuring out a path to create that. And I think that that is a much more empowered way to embrace the law of attraction teachings or the manifestation teaching. That, like, if you're focusing on it and you're feeling it, it's going to lead you in a direction that will then help you discover things along the way for you to create the thing you wanted to create. And I think, again, like, that makes a lot more sense to me in terms of like a more mature and adult view of manifestation. It's that we are an active co-participant in the pursuit of whatever it is that we're pursuing. And we're going after it, understanding that it's not just going to magically be given or magically be taken away if it's something that we don't want, that we're going to, like I say, participate in the creation of it as a kind of discovery journey. So what I would like to offer today is, if you're kind of in this law of attraction, is this law of attraction real? Do we just manifest things? Is manifestation real? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe you're feeling like, yeah, like you've looked at this and you've played with this and now you're doubting it, or you're wanting to figure out if it's really true, or if this is a real teaching, or if you're just being scammed. And because I know that a lot of people are still struggling with it, especially in the light of everything that's come in the last couple of years with understanding privilege and understanding that there are some people that you didn't manifest it. It was like your life was set up because of certain circumstances for you to have these things. And for other people, they could do exactly what you did and they would never get what you got because their set of circumstances are different. Like, and I mean, like, this doesn't even have to be a political thing. Like, in my experience, like my physical body, the physical body that I was born into, and the damage that was done because we didn't understand all the things that were like odd or off about it, means that I can do the same health practices as someone who had a stronger constitution than me, as someone who has stronger genetics than me, as someone who had less damage to their body than I did. We can do the exact same protocol, and they are going to get better results than me, simply because of where they started and their biochemistry, you see? So it's not even necessarily to say that all of this is man-made. It's like we are all different, and we are all starting from different places, and we are all starting from different spaces. And so what we are able to create and manifest, just because we're all doing the same thing, we're not all equal in the opportunities we have. We're not all equal in the opportunity we have to create whatever it is that we want to create, because we're all starting from different places, socioeconomically, physically, biologically, mentally, emotionally, what we got in our childhood, what we didn't get in our childhood, the resources we have, our aptitude, what culture values right now, what culture doesn't value right now. There are so many factors that play into even our conscious co-creation, that to think that we can all just do some same practice, we can all just feel the same feeling state and we're all going to manifest the same stuff, is silly, because that is simply not how the world works. This is a cause and effect universe. Everything that we are experiencing is an effect of something. It's a pattern. So when we're first looking at, like, is the law of attraction real at all? What I would say is, like, again, we live in a cause and effect universe. The reality that we are currently existing in isn't happening just because of what you did today or what you did yesterday or what you're thinking about. This is a result of literally all of time. Everything that happened before you. Everything that happened before this moment. This moment is a culmination of absolutely everything that has ever occurred before. This is patterns. This is the structure of reality unfolding in a predictable pattern, well, predictable if you can zoom out far enough, to see that these would be the outcomes, right? So again, my body it's not like a mystery why I was born with certain genetic conditions. We can look back 1 or 2 generations and see my mom had this gene, my dad had this gene, my mom had this gene, my dad had this gene, my grandma had this gene, my grandpa had this gene, they passed it down. So then the odds were they procreate, I took this gene, and that's why I am the way that I am. and that was, again, a result of evolution all the way from the absolute beginning of the human race. Right? Why does this happen? Well, evolution happened. A continual pattern and cause and effect relationship of everything created where we are right now. So if we can start to understand that it's not that the law of attraction isn't real, in that there aren't certain patterns of creation that if we follow them, we can kind of predict the outcome we're going to get. That's what learning is. That's what becoming aware of reality is when you start to be able to predict the outcomes of your behaviors and of your actions based on the pattern of this is always what seemed to happen before when I did that, based on the pattern of this seems to be the structure of how things work. When people do this way, we get this result. And over and over and over again, we practice it, and it's like it proves itself. Yes? And this is what I say, that, humans are really good at arguing with reality. We're really good at coming up with no, if I do this, I'm going to get this outcome. And here's all my evidence for why that's true. And my scientific studies and my anecdotes and all the other people who did that and this and this and this and this and this. And then we do it and we don't get that result. And then we assume we're either just doing it wrong, or that the universe is giving us the wrong outcome. Instead of saying, well, no, what I'm getting is the thing that actually makes sense. What I'm getting is reality. If I go on the diet and it doesn't actually heal my heart disease, then it wasn't a diet that healed my heart disease. It doesn't matter if I have all the studies and all the evidence in the world to prove that this is a diet that heals heart disease. If I have heart disease and I go on a certain diet and it doesn't heal the heart disease, this isn't a diet that's going to heal my heart disease. So we don't want to argue with reality. We want to say, okay, well, there's obviously something I don't understand about how reality is unfolding here, about how my biology is unfolding, about how nutrition works. I thought I understood. I had a hypothesis. I did the experiment, and the experiment told me that reality is different than what I thought it was. And so this is how I think we want to learn to live our lives, is from this perspective of, okay, and let's back up for a second, right? So we like to argue with reality. We like to believe that we know what is going to make us happy, that we know what is making us unhappy, and that we want a solid program for exactly what I need to do to get rid of the things that I know are making me unhappy and to manifest the things that are going to make me happy. Okay, that's the law of attraction and manifestation hypothesis. That you know what you want, you know what you don't want, and it's simply a matter of thinking or feeling or both your way into what you want, the universe giving you what you want, and taking away all the things that you don't want. And again, right, we come to these teachings because we are a humanity that's in pain. And that is something that I want to just validate and say, I get you. And yes, we all have pain. We all have pain we don't understand. And we want to believe that we understand it. And we want to believe that we already have the solution for it. And that's where the law of attraction comes in perfectly in to say, don't worry, it's simple. You already know what's wrong. You know what you need to make yourself feel better. And if you just think these right thoughts and feel these right feelings, you will get it. and you will be happy and your life will be fixed. Right? Simple. And it makes it feel doable. It makes it feel accessible. It makes it feel like you're in control. And like I say, it reminds you of your childhood. It reminds you of that childlike sense of self when all you had to do was manipulate your own behavior in some way in order to change the way that your caregivers were interacting with you. That's how you controlled your universe. That's how you controlled your life as a child. So it feels familiar. It feels good. It feels comforting. It feels like I said, it feels simple. It feels nourishing, and it feels familiar. Your nervous system understands that. If I just change my inner self and then maybe my external behavior a little bit towards the thing that controls what I want, that has the keys to everything that I want and has the keys to take away everything I don't want, I will be rewarded. Yeah? So, like I said, I just want to validate that, of course, that teaching and the way that it's being taught feels great and that we want to believe it. And then it can be also more attractive than religious thinking, and because the law of attraction likes to say that you're not being punished, right? That you're not being judged, that the universe is benevolent and it loves you. So it's a more comforting transition from the moral judgment that is often the foundation of traditional religion, of you can get good things, you can get good stuff, but you're a sinner, like there's something like fundamentally wrong with you, and you're constantly needing to follow all these rules, and you're being judged, and you're not loved, right? Like their fundamental religion can feel a lot like the authoritarian dictator style parent, and the law of attraction can feel a lot like the benevolent Santa Claus, more like a grandma or grandpa parent who just really loves you, and you just have to follow these simple rules, and then you're going to get everything you want. So, right, we can understand why we resonate with this. We can understand why this would feel good. We can understand why this would, and then there's the complicating factor, I suppose, of it can look like it's working, right? It can really look like it's true, especially when the teachings are so vague, right? Because the teachings can be very, very, very vague in the sense of like, well, vague and also like how long do we wait, right? Like you just need to keep feeling good, just being in your high flying place, like keep getting into that positive frenzy state, keep believing that thing that you want is gonna come to you, keep believing, keep believing, keep believing. And there's always the like, if it's not showing up, if you're not getting it, if it's not manifesting in your life, it's because you're not doing it enough. It's because you're not positive enough. It's because you're not thinking positive enough. It's because there's always you shouldn't give up so fast. Like, don't give up now. Yeah, like the other people got it, right? Like, look at the other people who manifested their perfect relationship. Look at the other people who manifested their money. Look at the other people who manifested all the things that they wanted to manifest. You just need to hold on a little bit longer. Or, like, again, get rid of that lack mentality. You need to get rid of that scarcity mentality. You need to step more into abundance. You need to step more into the truth of the reality. And it can be this, like, constant feedback of, it's not that the program isn't working. It's not that the law of attraction doesn't work. It's not that these teachings aren't complete. It's that you're doing it wrong, or you didn't do it long enough, or you didn't do it right. You still have something inside of you that needs to be changed. And so we can get kind of stuck in this, like, well, it sort of worked for other people, or maybe it kind of worked for me to some degree, and like I kind of got what I wanted and whatever. And so what I want to talk about in that, like, if you're ready for a kind of like a next level of this is what I want to say, right? Reality is far more complex than the law of attraction is telling you that it is. Your reality, again, is never just a result of what you're doing today, what you did today, what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're thinking about. even what happens in your lifetime. Okay? We are a result of billions of years of evolution, of cause and effect, of of conscious life becoming conscious life. Yeah? So as much as we do have control in our lives, we don't have ultimate control. We can't just manifest anything we want to manifest. We can't just create anything we want to create. We can't just be anything we want to be. There are limits, and like I said, some of the things that are in our reality in many ways just have nothing to do with us. We didn't create them. They are a result of the creation that we were born into. And whatever you want to believe about why or how you were born into the situation you were born into, like, I know that a lot of law of attraction teachers teach the, like, you chose your parents, you chose this life beforehand, and that can make people feel empowered. And if that makes you feel empowered, great, go ahead, go for it. But if that makes you feel like you're accepting blame for a bunch of stuff that, like, trauma that happened to you and a mess that was made not by you, and you are sitting there thinking like, well, so why did I attract this? Why did I manifest this? Why did I choose this life? And it's making you feel disempowered. I would highly advise we let that go, right? That we can just say, it was biological evolution. It was the chance of it, right? It was the roll of the dice. It was my parents came together and their parents came together and their parents came together, and because reality unfolded that way, I got these genetics, I got these life circumstances, and this is what I was handed. So what am I going to do with it? But it wasn't my fault. I didn't create it. So again, whatever it is that makes you feel empowered, if you want to believe that you chose it and that makes you feel empowered, go for it. If you want to believe that it was random and it just happened to you, go for it. What I would suggest, what what I'm going to offer is, this is how I view it for myself, which is just, this is what I was handed. These were the circumstances that I was given. And they're a mixed bag. And I think that this is true for everyone, right? There are things that I was given that make my life easier than other people's. There are things that I was given that make my life harder than other people's. There is no perfect thing that I stepped into, and not everything is terrible. It's a complete mixed bag of circumstances, of genetics, of where I was born, socioeconomic status, my aptitude, the way my brain works, the way my body works. This is just my reality. And there's nothing I can do about the fundamental blueprint that I was handed. And accepting that, I think, is the first key to true spirituality. Because I think a lot of the time, what we're looking for in our spirituality is an escape from the reality that we were born into, an escape from the reality that we're living. And so long as we're continuing to use our spirituality as a way to try to escape what is, we're going to be traumatizing ourselves. And there are simply harsh realities to face in this world that we live in right now. Because we are still a humanity that doesn't have a lot of things figured out. Right? There's still rampant disease. There's rampant poverty. There's homelessness and people who have billions of dollars. There's all the isms. We live in a very chaotic humanity right now. And we're still learning how to interact with the earth, how to interact with each other, how to interact with the universe in a way that actually serves all of us. And we are dealing with a humanity that, on the whole, is very traumatized because survival has been very, very, very challenging forever. Up until right now, we are very vulnerable. And we have memory, and we have the capacity to tell story, and we have the capacity to have stored trauma. And right, unlike other conscious beings, theoretically, we can hold in our bodies and hold in our minds memories of traumatic experiences and stressful experiences that then we carry forward with us, and that then color our perception of how things work. And like I say, the storytelling mind, the capacity to create things in our imaginations that don't already exist in the physical reality, so that we can create something that has never existed in physical reality before, is a double-edged sword, because it's magical that we can do that. And then it also means that we can get caught in believing that reality works a certain way when it really doesn't. And we can start to weave stories and weave evidence and weave this whole narrative that supports a view of the structure of nature of reality that isn't true. And we can live our entire lives believing that it is true and being completely confronted and traumatized over and over and over again that we keep experiencing these painful things because of what we believe about ourselves and because of what we believe about the universe. And we are not adjusting our behavior according to how the universe actually functions, right? So if we look again back at the law of attraction, so like first instance, it's like, why do I keep attracting the same partner? Why do I keep attracting the same emotionally unavailable partner, for instance? And it's like, okay, it's not so much that you are continually attracting the same unavailable partner. It's you learned in your childhood somewhere or in your early adulthood that this kind of relationship, that this dynamic is how you get your needs met. You know how to manipulate them and manipulate yourself in order to feel like you can get what you need from the relationship. And that's familiar to you, and that's familiar to your nervous system. So if someone else comes into your life who doesn't operate like that, who has a different way of communicating, that has a different way of expressing love, that has a different way of being available, you won't know how to interact with that. That will feel uncomfortable to your nervous system, even if it's healthier, even if it's technically meeting your needs better to be with someone who's more emotionally available, for instance. Because it's so unfamiliar to your nervous system, you're not going to be attracted to it. You are going to feel out of sorts and out of your comfort zone in that. That's not going to be how your nervous system understands right now how to get your needs met. And so you are not going to want to be in that relationship. Or if you get in that relationship, you're going to sabotage it because you're going to continue to act from, these are the rules of how I have to be. These are the rules of how I get my needs met. These are the rules of how I interact and how I learn to interact all through my childhood or through my early adulthood. And I don't know how to interact in a different way. And you're not even going to be aware that there's a different way to interact. Yes? So then, in order for you to manifest a relationship with someone who's more emotionally available, you would have to become more emotionally available. You would have to change the way that you communicate. You would have to become aware of your traumas and where you're walled off and where you are projecting a caregiver that couldn't love you and that couldn't support you, and that you got what you needed from them in these manipulative ways. And again, like, not manipulative in the sense that you were choosing to be manipulative, but manipulative in the sense that you were a child who learned how to get what you needed in the way that you needed to get it in the structure that existed in your childhood. So you're not manifesting the same relationship over and over again. You're attracted to the thing that your nervous system understands and wants to repeat, because that's how you know how to get your needs met. Even if it's not in a healthy way and you're not like fully getting your needs met and you constantly feel like you're not getting your needs met, that's still comfortable and familiar to your nervous system, and therefore is going to be what's more attractive to you than something that might be getting your needs met better but is unfamiliar to your nervous system. So a big part of the law of attraction that they're missing is, why are we continually engaging in the patterns that we are engaging in? We continue to not have enough money. We continue to not have these relationships we want. We continue to have the same work over and over again. What is it in my nervous system? What is it in my view of this is how the world works that is incorrect, right? Where is my hypothesis of this is the only way to do this incorrect? And again, where is this what's familiar to my nervous system, but maybe not necessarily actually reality? So that's the first kind of different question I would ask, instead of why do I keep manifesting this? Why do I keep attracting this? Ask yourself, how is this what is familiar to my nervous system? If it were actually different, how would I get my needs met there? How would I have to be different? Who would I have to become in order to actually be able to have this different relationship, to have this different job, to have this different financial status? And understanding that this is going to mean challenging our nervous systems. Okay? To actually start to create something new in your life. Even if that new thing is on all fronts and measures and levels better than what you have right now, we have to address that the nervous system is not going to like it. Your physiology body is going to fight you on making these changes because it's not familiar. Your body is working from homeostasis, and this is what it knows, and this is how it knows how to survive right now. It believes that whatever you're doing right now is the way. So if you change, your nervous system doesn't trust and doesn't know that you're going to be okay. And so changing your behavior inside of your relationship, changing your behavior with money, changing your behavior with your job, like actually shifting how you interact with these things, having something new and different than what you've ever had before, might actually feel worse at first and unfamiliar and scary, and your nervous system and your body will freak out and shut down. Because again, it thinks you're going to die. It thinks you're not going to get your needs met. It thinks you're going to lose what you do have with how you are doing it. It doesn't know that you're going to get something better. And you're going to have to prove it to your nervous system over and over again. And this is why we talk about bringing yourself into the actual present moment and noticing the actual results of what it is that you, whatever it is that you just did or whatever it is that you just interacted with, and seeing if the stories in your head about what you thought were going to happen or what you thought happened are actually true. Right? When you interacted with this person and you were honest with them about how you actually feel. So you were working towards actually creating a more emotionally available relationship where you were actually honest about how you felt instead of bottling your feelings up. That action is a step in the right direction, but your nervous system is going to freak out, and you might even tell yourself stories about how the other person got mad at you and is rejecting you now, and like your brain might be 400 steps down the road of like, this is going to end the relationship, and they might not be thinking that at all. Yeah? And we don't even notice that we're doing this. That we're telling all these stories and we're making up all this stuff based on what we have experienced in the past that maybe has nothing to do with this person and nothing to do with our current reality. But we don't know that because we're in story and we're projecting our stories onto our reality, And we're not even seeing that we're doing that. So then you have to like be like, okay, I'm telling myself that I said this to you and I was honest with you, and now I'm telling myself that this is what you're thinking and this is what you're feeling and this is what you're going to do. Is that true? Right? So like all these levels of self-awareness. So like I said, the main new question that I think is far more useful than what do I want to manifest, what do I want to create, what do I want to bring into my life, or what I want to release from my life. The real question, I think, that can be a lot more useful inside of the actual structure of how reality works is, who do I want to become? Who do I want to grow into? Who is this person that I would need to be in order to have these things that I want? So like, for instance, in my own life, I really wanted to move to Asia. I wanted to be able to be working online so that I could financially support myself while living in Asia. And rather than continually like thinking like, how do I manifest that? Like, how do I create that? How do I get that? I kept thinking to myself, like, who is the person who is capable of that? Who do I need to become? What do I need to know? What do I need to understand? What are all the balls that I have to be able to keep in the air? What are all of the components of that I need to know and understand and figure out in order to be someone who can have that life? I wanted a healthy relationship. So it's like, well, okay, so who do I need to become inside of my relationship in order for me to be someone who can have a healthy relationship? It's not just gonna come to me. I would always tell myself, I think the reason that I don't already have it is because I don't understand what it takes to create that thing. And I'm not the person yet who can sustain and maintain that. I don't have enough information. Those are not my habits. Those are not my awarenesses. Those are not my ways of being. I am not that person. So the kind of, like I said, the meeting of the two things, the embracing of the fundamental blueprint of who and what I am. So I'm going to go for my dreams. I'm going to go for the things that I want. I'm going to go after it, with the understanding that there may be things that I simply can't ever have, that I simply can't ever create, that I will never become, right? So I talk about this a lot, that the first real step in my true healing journey started with accepting that I might never get well. I might never get that healthy body that I always wanted. I might never figure it out. And so how was I going to love and support and nourish and take care of the me that actually currently existed? Right? Because again, with this law of attraction stuff, the continually telling myself, I will be happy when, that can get tricky. And that can be actually very distracting from the reality of we need to take care of who and what we are right now. Like, it can be a way that we are avoiding our current reality. We're avoiding our current situation. We're avoiding our current emotions. We're avoiding our current self. We're avoiding our current body. We're avoiding our current relationship. We're avoiding our current job by continually projecting into this ideal future and feeling this ideal future and feeling the good feelings of when I have that, I will feel good, and attaching all of our eggs to that basket. And that, like I say, is usually just a distraction from the pain that we're feeling right now that we don't know how to deal with. Right? We're just telling ourselves that, like, we're going to get the thing one day, and then all of this pain that we have right now is just magically going to go away. And what I would suggest is, again, sometimes we have to say, okay, if I never get it, if I never get there, if I never manifest the thing, what do I need to feel loved and nourished and safe with myself right now? What what does my actual reality need that exists in this moment need right now? If I'm not putting all my eggs in the I will be happy when basket. So it's not a complete giving up, right? Because again, I didn't say maybe I'll never have my healthy body, so fuck it. I'm just going to eat McDonald's and give up. It wasn't from that perspective at all. It was, how do I nourish the body that I actually have? How do I take care of myself, this self that actually exists right now? How do I start to love myself as the person who has the relationships that I have right now? How do I start to love myself and nourish myself? And what are my next steps? Yeah, in the financial situation I'm in right now. So accepting the reality of where we're at. And then saying, okay, sure, I want something better, I want something different. It's not going to come through some magic change. It's going to be steps I take from where I am right now to grow this person that I am into a new being who can live a different life, who can hold a different reality, who understands more things, right? So again, understanding that the you that has the thing you think you want is a more complex version of you. The you that has whatever it is that you think that you want is a more complex, more aware, more ordered, more structured version of yourself. Right? I didn't manifest a healthier body. I learned a lot. Step by step by step by step by step. By first accepting wherever I was in the moment. In whatever kind of pain I was in, whatever kind of struggle I was in, whatever kind of not ideal situation I was in. I figured out how to love me anyways, to actually be able to be present with myself when I wanted to not be present with me, because of course I was in pain. Who wants to be there in pain? I understand. We want to escape from our pain. But it's that learning to be your own safe place inside of your pain, and then asking yourself, okay, from this moment, in this moment, not my ideal self, not from what I want, but from who and what I actually am right here, right now in reality. What is my next step to nourish myself? What is my next step to take care of myself? How do I take care of this version of me that exists right now? And that, I believe, is a far more potent and pertinent and helpful tool for moving us forward in our lives. Is that it's not going to be some magical transformation that magically arrives in our lives because we thought about it and felt about it good enough for a while. If we are going to become something different, if we are going to have a different experience, it's because we are going to mature and we are going to learn and we are going to change our way of being. And that only happens through feeling safe to be who and what we are right now. Yeah? Creating that safety inside of ourselves. I love you just as you are right now. You never have to change. You never have to grow. You don't have to become this new and different person. This pain is not your fault. That's a huge, big one, always that I teach. The pain is not your fault. I understand why you think you want what you want. I understand why you think you don't want what you don't want, all that stuff. But this is the reality of what we're in. This is the reality of what we're in. So, within that, how do I best nourish myself right now? What do I need right now? What do I have access to right now? Because again, that was the thing that got me from working in a yoga studio part-time in Vancouver to manifesting my ideal life as an online person living in Asia. One step at a time. Just one step at a time. Just like, okay, I'm going to follow learning how to write blogs and do that. And then I got a job with another company and I started part-time with them, with an online company. And then I started part-time with them. And then I went full-time. And then over years, I kept learning and learning and learning. And so that's the second thing, the who do I want to become? And then the like, whatever you're in right now, just a little thing that I like to offer is assume that this is a step on the path to where you want to go. Because I think most people feel what they want to feel, see the end goal, see the end result that they want, and again, they expect that they know exactly how that's going to unfold, or that you're gonna arrive at the top of the mountain. You're gonna be at the bottom of the mountain, and then you're gonna take one step, and then you're gonna be at the top of the mountain. And anything that doesn't look like the top of the mountain, anything that doesn't look like the end goal, is wrong. We're not willing to take a journey. And that is what I think is the thing that is in the way of everyone. Is that we have to be willing to understand that whatever it is, again, that you're desiring to become or create in your life, you got to think of it like that's the peak of a mountain. You are at the base camp. Your next step is going to look nothing like the top of the mountain. Your step after that is going to look nothing like the top of the mountain. Your step after that is going to look a little bit like the top of the mountain, but not really. Your step after that is going to look a little bit more like the top of the mountain, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then you're going to get to the top of the mountain. But because all of us are going, okay, where's the step that takes me from where I am to the top of the mountain, and everything that is at the top of the mountain isn't it, we'd never get anywhere. So who do I want to become? And then what am I learning in this step based on this very complex person I'm going to have to become in order to have what it is that I want? Assume that whatever is coming up in your reality right now holds the next bit of information you need to take you to your next step. And then you'll get more information, and then that will take you into your next step, and then you'll get more information, that will take you into your next step, right? Like going from I work part-time in a yoga studio to being able to live full-time in Asia. There were so many things that I didn't know that I didn't know that I didn't know that were required for this life to be a life. There were so many steps I had to take between, like right at the beginning, I just thought I just need to get an online job and then I can move to Thailand and that's it. I had no idea about visas and bank accounts and plane tickets and travel and all of the things that ended up being a part of the journey. And if I had said, okay, right, this being part-time for this online community isn't me fully working by myself online, I'm not going to do it, I never would have gotten here. So my first step out of the yoga studio was working at the yoga studio and part-time for this online company. That looked nothing like the top of the mountain. But had I not taken that step, I wouldn't have been able to move full-time with them. I wouldn't have learned all the things that I learned working for them that then allowed me to eventually start my own thing while working for them. And then I moved to a different company, and then that helped build my own thing even more. And then eventually I'm doing my own thing, and then eventually I can move to Thailand. And it was all of these steps. And I just kept assuming every step along the way was the next thing I needed. And that's how I figured it out. Same with my body. I started with, I'm totally depleted and in pain and on fire and in a terrible place. What do I need to nourish my body right now? What feels good to this body right now? And then I learned a little bit about my physiology. And then I learned a little bit more, and I learned a little bit more. And over the last 10 years, I've put all these pieces together. So getting my kind of diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome and the MTHFR MTHFR gene mutation. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I pretty much had that all figured out. And now I just have a few little tweaks, and my whole lifestyle is kind of already designed for all of these things. And I'm not debilitated by them. But that's because I kept assuming everything that was in my reality wasn't wrong. It was, this is right. This is the hand that I was given. This is what I'm being dealt. This is reality. So what can I learn from it? How can I be informed by what's actually happening? And then use that to create what I want to create. Because that's the last thing that I want to say is like, again, so many of us think, I know how I'm going to create what I want to create. And if it doesn't happen like that, reality is saying no. So I have to fight with reality. No, it's the more you understand reality, the more you are in reality, the more you are accepting the results of your actions, the more you are saying, okay, no, that worked exactly how it's supposed to work. So what does that mean? How do I take that and use that to create what I want to create, instead of fighting with that to try to make reality different? Reality isn't different. Whatever you're getting, it's happening for a reason. Pattern, there's a pattern. So, and then again, right, questioning our thoughts, questioning our perceptions. Is what I think is happening actually happening? Is what I think I need to be happy really going to make me happy? Why do I want what I want? What do I think I can't have until I have that thing? What do I think I can't have until this thing goes away? And is that really true? Right? So there are some things, like until I have enough money to have food, I'm not going to feel safe. That's completely legit. You want to have enough money to have food? Of course. And shelter? That's normal. But I can't feel safe until I have $4 million in the bank? Is that really true? Or is that a belief system? Where is that belief coming from? I can't feel good until I heal this certain illness in myself. Okay, is that really true? Can we embrace that we feel shitty and that some days we just feel shitty and that's really awful and we want to feel better and that's true? And there's still good things in my life. I don't have to focus on this all day, every day. There are positive things. I can still pursue a career. I can still do all these things, even when I'm not fully healed. Right? That we have to start to really challenge our perceptions. And that can be very, very difficult to do. And that's why the law of attraction is so much more attractive. Because that's just, I'm right about everything. I know how it's going to work. And so if I just get my thing, I'll be happy. And if I just keep thinking about it, I'll get it. Rather than like, where is this coming from? What is the actual root of this? Why is this what I'm attracted to? If I were, who do I have to become in order to have the thing that I want? What do I think the thing that I want is going to give me? And is that even true? Can I have that now? How do I nourish the person that I am currently? How do I take care of who and what I am right now? How do I start to take steps towards what I want? How do I start to say, okay, whatever it is that I want to create, I can have it, but it's going to be a journey and I'm going to have to learn a whole bunch of things. So am I ready and willing to learn? Am I ready to say, okay, one step forward. What did I learn? One step forward. Maybe it took me in a different direction. Okay, so that taught me that how I thought I was going to get there, not correct. Good, but that doesn't mean no. That just means, okay, what did I learn? Okay, so now my next step, I'm more informed. Don't give up. Learn. And then, like I said, embracing the things that are just reality. And like I say, right, our life is this constant balance between accepting the things we cannot change and changing the things we can. And so that's why I always start with compassion. Compassion has to be where we're starting. Because if we're starting from trying to fix ourselves or change ourselves in some fundamental way, we're going to be clouded on what we have control over and what we don't, and what we need and what we don't. So we start with compassion for ourselves. And then we start to say, how do I nourish this being that I am right here, right now? And then what is the next thing for me to learn? Who am I becoming? Who am I becoming? Who am I going to allow my circumstances to make me? So that was what I said basically half an hour ago, how I view the world. Is just, this is what I was handed, so what am I going to do with it? Right? I could have looked at my circumstances and been like, my body is so messed up. I'm totally traumatized mentally and emotionally. I didn't get to go to university. I didn't have all these things. So, shitty life. I'm just going to be sick and need help forever. I could have done that. I could have felt sorry for myself. And I mean, there have been times where I did. But ultimately, I always said, but at the end of the day, this is just my life. So what do I want? What do I want to do with it? This is the body I have. It's not able. It might not ever be. But I'm not going to let that stop me from pursuing the things that I want to pursue. And it might just be that those things are harder for me than they are for other people. It is what it is. I think a lot of us need to just kind of decide what we value and what we're willing to work towards and what we're willing not to work towards. And again, right, there are going to be things where we get to just say it's not fair. So that's reality. Reality isn't fair. And I believe that as light workers, it's our duty to, as much as we can, create a world that is more and more equitable. That's why I believe in socialism. I truly believe that we are becoming technologically advanced enough that we can distribute resources widely enough that people don't have to work so hard, and that we can support people who are simply never going to have the wherewithal, the resources, the capacity to be a productive member of society. And I don't think that should mean they should just be in poverty forever. And we've grown enough as a species to be able to take care of the people who can't. Because it says that in the Bible, the poor will always be with you. That we're never going to be equal unless we decide that we want to just let evolution take its course and only the strong survive. We kind of have to decide what we're going to do then. Are we going to support all of human life because life is valuable? And then are we going to build systems around that? Or are we going to say, actually, it's just dog eat dog competition. If you can't hack it, too bad, your life sucks. Right? I am currently on the side of I would rather see a society where I have been able to do this to the point where I don't need money. So everything I do on Perception Traders, aside from my mystery school, is free. Because I want this information to be given to everybody. And so, because I can, I'm in that position. And I believe in that. And so, like I say, right? The world isn't fair, life isn't fair. Lots of things were harder for me than they were for other people. Lots of things were easier for me than they were for other people. And it just came down to accepting the reality of my life and then just deciding what I valued and what I was going to do with that. And I think that's kind of where our real power is. It may be tough in the beginning to accept your reality. But when we do that, we can just say, okay, I'm empowered then to just decide what I'm going to do with it. And decide what I want to do with it. And then be okay with that. Let yourself make that choice. And then don't beat yourself up for it. Have compassion for yourself. Some days you're just going to say, the thing I'm deciding to do today is give up. I don't want to, it's too hard. Okay. And then other days you're going to be like, well, it's my life and I want something better for myself, so I'm going to try harder even though it's harder for me today. And then, like I say, right, we can be more of a community. We can reach out to each other. We can be more of safe places for each other when we're down. That's another thing that I think we're fully capable of creating, when we shouldn't have to be so self-reliant. And I think that doing things like this and validating each other and just being able to, it's not even necessarily about having someone be able to give you answers or anything like that, but it's just like, we're in this together. We're in this confusing, chaotic mess together. And we're a self-aware species who knows we're going to die, but we don't know why, and we don't know how, and we don't know what happens after that. We're all in the same pain boat there. So how can we make, and we all are going to suffer. We're all going to face things that cause us pain that, again, we don't know how to deal with sometimes. So how can we support each other in the realities of life being bad, instead of vilifying each other and being afraid of each other, who reminds us of these realities? We're vulnerable. We're always going to be vulnerable. So how do we take care of ourselves, and how do we take care of each other? How do we learn? How do we grow? All right? So who am I becoming is a far more powerful question than what am I manifesting. Who do I need to become? What do I need to grow into? What do I need to learn? What do I value, and what do I want to create with the life I was given? I think those are more powerful questions. And then embracing the pain, embracing the trauma, embracing that stuff. And rather than saying that this is an impediment to me, what do I learn? What am I going to learn? How can I use this to inform me? Because again, at the end of the day, we get to decide. We all had our trauma we didn't choose. So now, is it going to destroy us, or is it going to be something we learn from? Is it something that you're going to use to hate yourself, or something that you're just going to say, okay, this happened, I hate it, it's awful, I need to have compassion for myself. I need to go through my emotions. I'm going to do this work because I deserve to feel better about these things that happened to me that weren't my fault. But you don't have to do anything. Remember that. You don't have to do anything. This is your life. You do not have to do anything. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next week with the next slide.